somebody that's already dead? How are we gonna kill somebody that's already dead?
It's because of men like you that all must be destroyed. It's because of men like you that all must be destroyed. None of those risks have been seen, at least not by anyone who still remains alive.
So, hi. How's it going today, everybody? My name's Andrew, and welcome to another exciting episode of X Studios Live. Currently, I think I'm talking to myself, but that's okay. Sometimes that's all you can do. So, folks who are new here, thanks for tuning in today. And we're going to be talking about one of my favorite synths that have come out pretty much ever. That is the Novation Peak. So we're going to kind of deep dive into that, go over all the weird functions and stuff like that, and dig through and see what we can find. So X Studios is a Cleveland-based music production facility here. That's kind of a hobby of mine. We also have Justin, who's out in Chicago, and John, who's also in Cleveland as well. We all kind of use our studios for making music and learning and stuff like that. And I kind of enjoy doing this stuff with deep diving and performance and everything every week here on Twitch, and it's also archived over on YouTube. So if you're watching over on YouTube, thank you and welcome. Let's see here. What's been going on? Not too much. I think I'm finished mixing my new album, which is coming out as the moniker Plasma Blackout. That was the album that I've been working on with RPM Challenge back in February, and then I kind of took a step away from it while March was going on, because March was nuts with everything in life. And so back on it again. Been doing a lot of self-education as far as how I can do mixing better and easier for how I want to do things and stuff like that. So that's been my project for April so far. Dan, I didn't know that there was a Chipotle Queso Blanco commercial. I didn't know that. Is Chipotle still open? I guess it would be. So, yeah, thanks for joining me today, Dan. Good to virtually see you. Hope you're doing well outside of your need for a Chipotle Queso Blanco. Chipotle Queso Blanco. Blanco Nino. So we're going to be kind of going over the peak and everything like that, and dealing with that kind of stuff. Because it's such a harsh thing to deal with. How are you, everybody? Is everybody surviving this okay? No one's gone too insane yet, outside of Queso Blanco needs and desires. I hope so. So, anyway, I'm going to switch over here to my buddy. There's my buddy. This is the Novation Peak. I currently have it plugged into a Novation circuit, just in case Novation happened to stop by and audit me to make sure that everything is okay. Yeah, they really do. I don't think I never thought of Chipotle being that bad, but kind of is. I haven't really had Chipotle in the past couple months, except like a salad thing or whatever they make from there. And they're not amazing. So, our buddy Novation, the Novation Peak. Speaking of making you crap, this synth makes me crap. And not in a bad way, in a good way. So let's kind of go over and discuss what this thing is, what it does, and everything like that. So this is a digital synth. Actually, I think you would qualify it kind of as a hybrid synth, because it is a digital oscillators, analog filters, that kind of thing. So let's talk a little bit. Let's break this down. What the hell does that mean? Measured risk. Are you talking about Chipotle, or are you talking about the digital oscillators? Dan, I don't know. I think you might be talking about both. I don't know. You matter. You really do. So we have 3 oscillators. These are right here. And these are called Oxford oscillators, which is a fancy term. They are FPGA controlled oscillators. They have the usual waveforms in there. Sorry, I need to move stuff around here a little bit. So they have the sawtooth square sine wave and everything like that. But they also have 60 wavetable synths oscillators in there as well, per oscillator. Is it per? Yeah, each oscillator has up to 60 of them. And then you have 8 voices on here as well, which is great when you're making super saws because you can make super duper saws on like 24 saw waves, which is, kind of fun if you're really into making saw waves. Super saw. Now I know that the Summit, is the desktop version of this thing, is basically they say 2 peaks put together. So I guess that gives you a super duper duper super saw. I don't know. I don't have a Summit. I bet Chipotle also has a lot of options, Dan. Am I correct? I'm willing to bet that's where you're going with this. I'm stealing your jokes automatically from you. 8-voice polyphony. Or you can dump it in unison mode or dual mode, however you want to do that kind of thing. 3 oscillators per voice. So each of these guys will do that. Oh, the Hydra. Yeah, Hydra's good too. Hi, information tray. Thank you for joining. Yes, lots of knobs, but still menus. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know. We'll go into that a little bit more. Yeah, sine, triangle, sawtooth, pulse, 60 wavetables per oscillator, waveform shaping on all the waveform types. So you can do all kinds of weird shit with that. This and the effects are like the only 2 digital parts on it. The filter is analog. The LFO is an LFO. Your VCA and the distortions are all analog as well. Why is the Hydra guilty? I mean, I don't know. I love it. I just did a deep dive of that a few weeks ago. I'm curious to find out why you think that is like a guilty pleasure or guilty of being too cool. Or I used to work at Carl's Jr. when I lived in California. Oh, yeah, here's a synth, fuck you. Yeah, just kind of like here's a cheeseburger, fuck you. But, Carl's Jr. used to have those zucchini things fried zucchini. Never mind. You're distracting me. Ring modulator that will modulate the first 2 oscillators together. An arpeggiator, which is right here. I'm kind of going down the list of what they give you. Portamento with dedicated time control. You get 226 user patches. You can like nuke the other ones too, really. Dan, thank you. Maz Smith, thank you for the host, and thanks for joining us today. We're talking about the Novation Peak. If you have any questions about it, I can stumble my way into those questions. It has these things called animate buttons. These things right here, these are kind of weird. And I'll show off what those kind of do a little bit as well. You have effects over here. These are digital effects. You have except for the distortion. You have a chorus, you have a delay, and you have reverb. And these things are so beautiful sounding. The reverb on here is just like creamy and delicious and kind of feels like an audio hand job. It's that good. And so it's really good. Unfortunately, the Peak does not have audio inputs. The Summit does. So if you want to be able to run stuff through that, you need to get the Summit, which costs twice as much, I think, as the Peak does. But again, I don't have one, so I don't know. And then the other features is a headphone output. Thanks, guys. And a Kensington security lock. Woo! So, yeah, that's exciting. So, again, hand jobs of audio bliss. So, one of the things I've been doing lately with this is, no, there's nothing tasty about a Burger King onion ring. I'm sorry, there isn't. Those things just are disgusting. There's no such thing as a tasty Burger King onion ring. That's like the Behringer of fried fast foods. Not like the fried zucchini that is Novation. I'm just saying. So, one of the things I've been doing is I've been programming a lot of patches into this lately during my coronavirus self-isolation period. Where X Studios is putting out a patch pack. I think I might turn it into a sample pack as well for the Peak and the Hydra, probably the Medusa as well. So like 3 pieces of gear that not everyone has. Whatever. But that's why I want to kind of maybe do it as a sample pack as well so people can load it into their favorite sampling devices. So I've been doing that, and it's actually been a lot of fun and been very educational one of the things that I'm really digging about the Peak is the mod matrix in here, because the mod matrix is hella powerful. And for what I do, I think it's fantastic. Now I know some people are going to give it shit because it's not, 100% like, I can't do dubstep on this thing or whatever. But quite frankly, I can't deal with dubstep anyway. So I don't mind not being able to do that kind of weird stuff with things. And I don't know. Someone was talking about that. Justin, how are you, sir? Yes. Heard your onion ring modulator in 7 colors for just $149. I know, no dubstep, John. I'm sorry. I feel so bad. And by that, I mean, no, not really. I don't feel bad at all. I don't understand dubstep. I'm too old to understand what dubstep does or why it does or anything along those lines. So anyway, let me just punch up this this pad here real quick. The joy of voice stealing. I kind of like how this thing steals the voices from each other because it's using all 8 for this chord. And so you can hear how sometimes it jumps around nicely in and out. And the tail on that reverb makes me horny. So good. So that's one of the patches I've been working on here. Yeah, Infotray, definitely. I've used dubstep like bass patches and like calmed them down and turned them really, really wimpy and used them for synth pop. Because, I'm not the most aggressive person in the world when it comes to music. So let's kind of go in here and bust this into a blank patch and kind of work our way through some stuff on here. By the way, if one of the, wow, Dan, you are hungry. You need to get some food in you or something, my friend. I'm sorry, but you sound like you really, I don't want you having a sugar crash on the show or something like that, or like, anything like that, or passing out. I think you might need some food. Maybe get yourself some Chipotle and some hot wings, maybe some onion rings too, or some fried zucchini. So where was I going with this before? I don't even remember. So the init patch on here, not that exciting. Damn, Infotray, you going to bring me over some meat? Some smoked meats? I hope so. Infotray has a smoker, and he's not sharing, and that's sad. So one of the things that I've been doing a lot as far as researching how the Peak works is it's actually funny on their YouTube channel for Novation. Lately, Legovelt has been on there doing these quick tutorials on weird little tricks and stuff like that he does. And, Legovelt is more awkward than me or any of my friends, really, which is, a lot of my friends are kind of awkward. And so it's kind of fun to see him doing these kinds of things because he's just like, so like, I don't know, he has a tough time looking into the camera or anything. Tend to your meat. John, I don't know why you don't just have like your meat sitting right next to you. But yeah, the Legovelt videos for the Novation Peak are pretty stellar. He's like making drums out of it and stuff like that. He does a whole lot of interesting stuff with the mod matrix, especially with the keyboard. Telling the different parts of the keyboard to interact differently with the sounds and stuff like that, doing weird shit. Like, I can't even describe it. So anyway, let's kind of like dive into like this init patch kind of view here. So by default, just has one of the oscillators turned on. So we can go through and listen to those waveforms if you want to. So those are the basic ones: the sawtooth, the sine, square wave, triangle. And then we'll go into the more section. When I click on the more section, then this up here becomes where we start dialing in the rest of the wavetables, of which there are 60 of. I'm not going to tell you what all of them are. I'm just kind of buzz through them so you can hear them. This is exciting. So much wavetable. Hey, Justin, do you see that you can read them all right on the screen, right? I think they're all in alphabetical order for you too, buddy. So you can just like slow down the video on playback and you can go and you can look at all 60 of them. They're not all in alphabetical order. They kind of fall off there. But yeah, totally, dude. Go ahead. It's all yours. So yeah, the wavetables are all in there. All three of these guys here have the ability to play any of the 60 wavetables. You also have on here the shape amount too, which you can actually, that's where you can do like wave shaping. Yeah, Justin, if you want me to make an audio book of the names of every wavetable, you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel for 6 months. And then that way I will be more than happy to read every single wavetable on here. So put your money where your mind is there, young man. Haha. He's thinking about it, isn't he? Nicknames are for friendships. It's true. So so this kind of brings us over to like the oscillator page itself, because like I said, even though there's a whole bunch of knobs on here, there's still room for menu diving on here as well. Great. So for instance, there's 8 pages of menus for the oscillators that, some of them are pretty much like very similar. It's actually not stuff that's on the knobs. I'm sorry. So you have things like drift and noise, LPF, and, diverging, from your notes and stuff like that. Page 2 is key sync and tuning tables, so you can put in like micro tunings and stuff like that. This is the page for the wavetable fixed note and how your pitch bend range, synchronizing your wave, sawtooth density, and then you go on to the second oscillator. And then the third oscillator. So actually it's not too bad. It's like 2 pages of menus per things. And then you have like the common section on there as well. Yeah, I know, because I just stop and just like, I'm literally rolling my eyes over here. Maybe I should do that every time that I see something. I'll just switch over the camera and go. There you go. I'm just going to start doing that from now on. Everyone's just going to fucking leave. I'm trying to like make sure that I'm not missing anything as far as questions are concerned. So let's just kind of go up on the top here to this area, since we kind of covered the oscillators a little bit already. The oscillators also have like your ranges and everything over here, coarse and fine tuning. You have your mod envelope 2 depth, LFO 2 depth, because you can send the the mods over here as well as LFO 2. And then you also have your wave shape amount right here as well. And from there you can do manual one. You can get it from the mod envelope 1 or LFO 1, so that can like move your wave shaping. And you can actually go further than that as far as where you want those. You can get them from LFO 2 or mod envelope 2 or vice versa. You just have to use the menus to do that kind of thing. So, so the menu diving up here is actually not too bad, like I said. So you have like the oscillator, which I've already shown you. Questions about Mutton Essential? Envelopes, 6 pages worth of envelopes, velocity, how you want those envelopes to trigger, hold time for the envelope, how many times you want it to do repeating, which is kind of cool. If you want to do retriggering for the mono, I'm not sure what that does. I haven't played with that one yet. Hold time repeats, so you actually have it for each of them. You have like the general one, you have an amp envelope page, 2 pages of that, then you have the mod envelope, 2 pages of that, and 2 pages of mod envelope 2. LFOs, this is kind of a similar kind of thing, so you have the different views as far as that's concerned for each of the LFOs. And actually one of the things that they do is that there's 2 LFOs that are on here, and originally it came with 2 LFOs, but then later on they started, they gave you 2 more LFOs in the menu. Sauces are to food as coarse is to synths, and after the sauces, the cheeses. I might just like take this out of the way, and maybe we can do a cooking show instead. Even though I don't have the ability of cooking down here, but I can just like throw cheese at the camera for the next hour and 40 minutes. Doesn't that sound like fun? So yeah, LFOs 3 and 4 are menu items in here because they didn't put them on. I think that the Summit actually has all the knobs for envelopes 3 and 4. Arpeggio and clock. I'm currently getting clock signal off of the circuit that's over here. Anything that's made from Roland is probably akin to Cheese Whiz, or even like Kraft or Velveeta, the cheese that cannot die, in my opinion, because, yeah, I'm not a fan of Roland. Clock rates. Source right now is coming off. Like I said, the clock rate's coming off of the circuit right now. You can change all that stuff in there pretty easily. Different types of arpeggios that you can do a lot more because you don't have many options on here. So this gives you the different types, which if you want me to read, that's 2 months worth of subscriptions. Different types of rhythms you can do with it as well. You get like 33 different rhythms, and your octaves, just up to 6 octaves. Swing rate, sync rate, and key sync if you want to have that going on. Sorry, I think I need a new mic stand. This one's getting kind of weird. Plus, I have it really precarious. Mod matrix. This is where all the fun is as far as mod matrices are concerned. If mod matrixing turns you on, it's a pretty simple thing. You have your direct, you have your destination, and you have how deep you want it to go. And you have 16 slots of mod matrix lovin', and you have all kinds of different places you can go from. 8 months worth of subscriptions if you want me to read them all off to you. Yeah, Justin, it is kind of like the DSI mod matrix. It's not as I think the Hydra's is a little bit more clever as far as UI is concerned, but I think that Peak is a little bit deeper than the Hydra's mod matrix. They did a pretty good job as far as like everything is concerned. And then you can also, I know, right? Someone's got to do it. It's not going to be you, Dan. You can also go in and there's actually mod matrixing for the effects as well, which is kind of a nice thing. I think that's a more recent addition they did. Because for a while it was not there, but it is now a... No, maybe it isn't there. I thought it was. I thought I saw it the other day. Might be somewhere else. I guess I lied. Voicing, this allows you to do things like unison mode, detune each of the unison voices, and spread them out. So if I'm going to switch that over to... I'm going to turn up all three of the oscillators. And unison all 8 of them. Spread those out. Nice and more detuning. I don't even understand the Carol Baskins thing. I really don't. I don't even know. I don't know. Ugh. Anyway. So you can get some big ol' saw waves on this thing and make stuff go crazy, if that's what you're into. I don't know who that is. Thank you, Justin. Once again, thank you. So yeah, back into here, you get that unison mode, which I was just talking about. You also have pre-glide. You can switch your voice from the modes over between poly, like 2 different mono modes, like mono 2 LG, regular mono, 2 versions of poly. I'm not sure what those do, but I can always look that up. How loud you want that patch to be, and then the filter post driver and the filter divergent pieces in there as well. Effects, you have wet levels for each of them, global wise, if you want to route them as well. So you can actually reroute the effects, which you cannot do in the Hydra unless they've changed that, which I've not seen. Oh, there's so many heavy sighs going on today, Nagway. Let me tell you. Thanks for joining us, by the way. Appreciate it. Cowmate, thanks for the follow. Sorry if I've been a bit distracted as far as it's concerned. I'm going to blame Dan Kushner for everything with his, I don't even know what he's doing. But thanks for joining and thanks for the follow. So yeah, routing, you have different route modes. So you can go from delay to reverb to chorus, delay, chorus, reverb, reverb, delay, chorus, reverb, chorus, delay, chorus, delay, reverb. I mean, all of them really. So that's kind of a nice thing. I like the ability to reroute those effects. You can also do them parallel, so all 3 of them are being hit at the same time from the same route. Then you have your depth for different effects: chorus depth, chorus feedback, chorus. Your high pass, low pass, your delay, dampening, delay synchronization, your left-right ratio, which is kind of nice because you can give yourself a. Let me turn up the delay here. Flip that over to stereo. I'm using them both right now for Plasma Blackout. I've been using those, both of them being run off of the Deluge. And they do have enough of a different sound where they work pretty well together. So I would always recommend both machines, because that's just how I am. Anyway, delay, you get the stereo. You can do stereo, you can slew the delay as well. Let's hear what that does. So you can hear that timing on the slew. Stereo width, reverb gives you pre-delay, low and high frequency dampening, reverb size, modulation depth and modulation rate, reverb low pass, high pass. There it is. There that is. Okay, that's what I was talking about. This is the mod. There's actually a mod matrix in here for just the effects. I don't know why they didn't put that in the rest of the mod matrix. That's kind of a weird thing. I don't quite understand that. So you can go in here and you can give your I bet your ring modulator can handle not just Taco Bell and Chipotle, but probably a whole lot of pastrami, my friend. But this gives you the same origin. Not all of them. It gives you some of the same origins as far as your effects modulations are concerned. It'd be cool if you could do weird shit whatever. But it gives you a pretty good amount. This does have CV in as well, so you can bring CV in there. And then you have your FX destinations where you can pretty much just distortion level, chorus rate, chorus depth, chorus feedback, delay level, delay time, delay feedback, reverb level, reverb time, and the filters on the reverb. So that's kind of cool. It's nice. I don't see... I think that this, again, the Hydra doesn't do that. I don't think it has any modulation for effects. I can't remember, even though I just did a deep dive of that thing not too long ago. I don't think it does. But, whatever. Is that make it a terrible synth? No, I think that the Hydra is still a whole lot of fun to play with. I think it's it can modulate at the effects level. Okay, cool. It might actually do it better than this, because it might give you more options as far as sources for your modulation. Reverb delay only for that. Okay, well that's still not too bad. I haven't really used that yet on the Peak, but I'm probably going to start, because I think it'd be kind of cool to do a keyboard controlled delay or reverb or something like that. So the higher you go or the lower you go, the more big everything starts sounding and hollow and sad, like my life right now. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, then your general settings over here. My personal thing is always turn pickup on. What that basically means is that the knobs will wait until you hit their current destination before they start tweaking. Otherwise, it's as soon as you tweak it, it just jumps over to whatever setting that's at, which can be kind of abrupt and irritating. The downside is you have to move the knob over to where it currently is in order for it to react. So for instance, if I turn the frequency knob, that's fine. But if I turn like this, you can see that shows the pickup level and the current. So I actually have to go down 0 and then pick it up, and then it starts moving that around. You can turn that off, like I said, and then when you turn that off, I'll just turn it off real quick. So now if I turn something, it's immediate and it doesn't give you the pickup level at all. So it does this, this jump at one of your things, and that can be kind of irritating, especially if you're trying to play live. You just have to get in the habit of moving over and picking up that knob wherever that is. I refuse to even acknowledge that with a sigh, Dan. Usual other settings in here and everything like that. You can calibrate your oscillators and all that jazz. Software version, velocity shape, tuning, transposing, MIDI control, MIDI enable, pedal, what you want those things to do, volume ranges, back this bad boy up, tuning tables. You can go through here and you can mess with all these tuning tables, of which there are 16 tuning tables. So you can go and you can mess around with that. So and you can also plug this thing into the computer, and you can use the Novation Components application, which is a web-based, or you can, it's a web-based where you can download the application as well. It's the same one that you would use with the Novation circuit. It works with the Peak. It works with the Base Station 2, Circuit Mono Station, and the controllers that they put out recently that I really have my eye on, but I have them on so much I can't even think about it. Probably the SL Mark IIIs. I know it works on that as well. Dan, neither Van Halen is not my taste at all. Sorry. I know. Zero respect. I am a horrible person for not being a Van Halen fan, but that's okay because I hate most music, as anyone can tell you. I'm really particular. Just ask anybody. So, anyway, over here is our mixer view. So, mixer, oscillator 1, oscillator 2, oscillator 3. That's kind of self-explanatory. VCA gain, so you can turn them all up. It's like a mix master thing before it hits your filters. Ring modulator and noise modulation. So, you can hear what the noise sounds like if you want to. I can turn down the oscillators. I know, that's exciting, isn't it? Great for doing hi-hats. I don't know if there's a way to change the noise type. That's a great question, Andrew. Let's take a look here. I actually do have the manual in front of me because I do this with all of my deep dives because I'm curious as far, I'll get questions or I'll ask myself questions. And I'll be like, I wonder if I can do that. So let's take a look here. Doesn't say that you can. That'd be weird, wouldn't it? Yeah, Justin, you like open hi-hats to sound as much as possible like you're spraying aerosol into a microphone. Constant. You love it. So I'm looking, and I don't think you can change it. That's kind of sucky. So I think you're just kind of stuck with that, which I guess is exciting. Let me just double check in the oscillator section here. Nope. I do not see a way to change the sound of the noise, so you're stuck with that noise. Interesting. Sorry if I'm just kind of like, making sure that I'm not going insane, at least as far as this is concerned. You guys are doing a good job as far as everything else is concerned, making me crazy. That's why I do this every week. I love when you make me crazy. Nope. I don't see it in there anywhere. So, I don't know. This is when I need to call, like, Enrique and be like, dude, is this possible? So, I don't know if noise is that important for you, like different types of noise, but if it is, then the Hydrasynth definitely has more noise types because it actually has noise types. I don't think this one does. So, coming back in here. Okay, so moving on, we have the filter, which is a 12 and 24 slope filter, and you have 3 different shapes: low pass, high pass, and band pass. I don't like Sammy Hagar. I don't like David Lee Roth. I don't like any of it. Please stop. Low pass filter sounds nice. Juicy. Filter self-oscillates. Anyway. Other things on here, you have an overdrive on the filter, so you can get the filter nice and growly. Grunge. You have a LFO depth on here. You have a you can actually use the third oscillator as a filter modulator as well. God. Speaking of Chipotle, holy shit. Key tracking as well, so you do the whole key tracking thing on the filter. Which, you know, that's cool. Turn down that. And like I said, you get the envelope depth you can control from the mod envelope. It says mod envelope 1, but I think you can probably go in and you can change that to LFO2 as well, or mod envelope 2. I don't think it really matters too much. A lot of it gives you a lot of, you can see that it will give you a whole lot of like basic options, but you can go in there and go deeper if you need to with the menu. But I don't think you necessarily need to go into the menu. I generally don't go into the menu very much except when I'm doing mod matrix stuff, which on, you know, device like this, or just like the Hydra or any of the DSI stuff, the mod matrixing thing is going to be a menu. There's not much you can do about that. Womp womp, unless you want to get like a knob box and assign every modulation to every destination to a knob box or something like that. Amp envelope and 2 mod envelopes. You have a switch right here between 1 and 2. For the modulation envelopes, they're just standard attack, decay, sustain, release on both of them. I think, if I remember correctly, we were looking in the menu over here. You can set it to repeat, and you can give it a hold time as well. So you can actually add a hold to the ADSR, which is kind of nice. And then you can also do a repeat on that as well. There's no Yeah, Justin. The Matrix Brute, you can do the mod Matrix. You know, there's no menu diving for that. But at the same time, is that like a 64 grid or is that a 128 square grid? I can't remember. All right, Dan. Thanks for the food talk. I hope you eat enough and you're happy. And if you're on Saturday Night Main Event later, even though you don't read your chats when you're doing that generally, I will fill it with nothing but food references just because I love you too. Yokiro. You can also retrigger. There's a couple different retrigger options for the mod envelopes as well. Legato and retrig on that. And you can have velocity sensitivity. And then you can basically how that works. Mod envelopes 1 and 2. Amp envelope 1, you have your glide effect right here. Apparently Saturday Night Main Event has been canceled due to food comas. That's not me actually saying that. That's Dan. It's all his fault. LFOs give you, they're pretty much the exact same thing. Both LFO1 and LFO2, you have 4 different wave shapes, or 3 different wave shapes and sample and hold as options. You also have three different ranges, low, high, and sync. And it's the same across both of them. You have a fade time, which is kind of handy, and the rate as far as knobs are concerned. So you can start with a pretty plain sound and have those LFOs fade in as time goes by, and makes things go wackadoodle as far as that's concerned, which is nice. Arpeggio is nice and arpeggio-y. I made a patch that uses the arpeggio. Let's see here. Beep sick. I love that delay so much. I wanted to kind of like most of the arpeggios that I hear. Yeah, it totally is. I really wanted to make it snappy, but I really wanted to sound like it was like running through a cassette at the same time. It's the envelope on the attack that's making it do all like sound goofy and stuff like that. There's not enough arpeggiators that sound like garbage. They all sound so like pretty and pristine and everything like that. And I wanted to have kind of a dirty, almost sad sounding. R2D2's just been through the desert a bit too many times. Kind of go through. There's the what I call Belvita. Having the amp envelope repeat, or not repeat if it's being touched more than once. Sorry, Justin. You've been eyeing these for a while. You're actually eyeing the summit last year. You're gonna keep rethinking this thing whenever you look at it. I mean, every time you come over, you kind of stare at it and rub yourself against it. This is the sci-fi pad that I was playing earlier. You can hear the LFO coming in. Robot lullaby. Little bit of sample and hold on the second LFO, making some interesting tones going on in that. My public TV sound. It's kind of like distorted, but I wanted to have like, those like little... He did not pick up a Summit. I know he was going to, but he didn't. I think he bought some modular thing instead, I think. I don't know. Is Glacial 23 on here? If so, that's a question to aim at Glacial 23. Let me take a look and see if I see him in the chat or not. He is not on the chat, so I don't know. Guess we'll have to ask him one of these days. He blew it on drugs. That's totally Sam. Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't think he blew it on drugs. I think he just I know he's been doing some other stuff, so I think it's on his list. I think the money's just sitting there collecting dust. FU Cohorn. This was my angry. I was really angry that night, and I made space truck horns. That reverb just totally, like I said, total boner material. So good. So yeah, you can get really pretty with this thing, and you can get downright angry and filthy with this thing. Having so many different points of overdrive and distortion, from the VCA gain to the overdrive on the filter to an actual distortion knob, it really gives you the ability to really kind of like piss things off. And you can, like I said, you can reroute stuff a little bit as well. On here, I haven't really done that yet because obviously I couldn't find the fucking thing until like today, for the modulation matrix on the FX. But excuse me. And then I have some of them set up with the animate buttons. So if I do something with those, in that case, it cranks everything and makes it even scarier sounding. I'm not sure if I put animate. Yeah, put animate on beep sync too. So if I go into here, I see that animate 2 handles the filter resonance. Animate 1 does the turns up the filter distortion. And then animate 1 also messes with the filter frequency. And then I have the keyboard doing a oscillator sync. Oscillator sync is the name of my new restaurant. The circuit doesn't have much as far as like, let me try to. So you can kind of hear what the oscillator is doing as it's going up the octaves. Kind of crazy. What was I gonna say? I don't remember. I think that's one of the things what I've been really digging about, kind of going through and understanding and figuring out how the synth works, is dialing in sounds and stuff like that has been kind of a real treat. And everything acts really, really, really fast because of probably the FPGA circuitry in the oscillators and everything like that. One of the things I saw on Novation's Facebook page was they plugged one of these into a Digitact, and they were using this as a drum machine. So they were basically what they were doing is that they were using the electron sequencer to change MIDI to do a patch change with every step on the step sequencer. It would do a pattern change, and they programmed a kick, a hi-hat, and a snare as 3 different patches on the peak. And then they basically hit play, and it was like boom, tap, boom, tap, boom. And then they started turning up the tempo, and then they got the thing at like 300 BPM. And it was still just like nothing. That's how fast like the patch changing on this thing is it doesn't care. It's just like, all right, how fast do you want me to go? All right. And it wasn't like losing anything at all. Like some synths will just kind of like clog when they're doing that kind of thing. And granted, what I'm doing there was not really a good example of that. I should have queued that up and had that so I could show you guys. But if you just go to Novation's website, YouTube, and look up Peak Drum Machine, it will, it kind of shows you exactly, how fast these oscillators can change up and everything like that. Yeah, Justin, like the Quantum, far less expensive. And as we learned from Moogfest, far less buggy. Hopefully they've updated the Quantum so it's not the mess it was at Moogfest last year. So, gosh. I mean, that's kind of the basic tour side of things on here. Yeah. 5-second patch changes. That's nuts. But I've seen like it's weird. I've seen certain synths that will do that kind of thing. I think not so much anymore, but I think that just like overloading chips with like not enough stuff in there. I don't think does Quantum do. I don't think the Quantum is FPGA based. It's probably not. That's just kind of a weird decision on their part. But one of the cool things about the oscillators on here is that they sound pretty good, even if you're using like the analog based stuff. Which I think the only thing that I use the fake analog patch was probably for FU Cohorn, because I wanted, those are all like super duper saws. But no, actually it looks like I'm using okay, I lied. There's actually not many of them that I am using so far. I need to make more patches. It's on my list of things to do. But first things first, I need to finish mixing. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything like that that I can answer or kind of stumble through, or if anyone wants to hear any particular kind of waves or how things sound through various things. I don't know. You can play the infamous patch that's on here. Yes, Justin, they are analog. The filters are analog, and the LFOs are analog, and the distortion is analog. Everything else on here is digital. So obviously the delay and the chorus and the reverb are all digital, but they still sound really, really good. Let me find the, let's see. Sorry, I might have gotten rid of it. I don't know. There's some fun presets that they put on here. Yeah, pin tweaks. I know that was the one that you and I were talking about the other day, Justin. So that's the change in tones is all being handled by the LFOs, which I think is pretty cool. You can see that they're like kind of switching off and on over there. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of a fun. They got some funny presets in there. Gosh, I gotta make the show end early. So you can, yeah, exactly. Angelo Badalamenti replaced by LFOs. You can download patches, obviously, and stuff like that. You can create a lot of the stuff right on the synth. You can upload them off of here with the components application. That's kind of the Novation's Scooped pads. Goodness. That's Novation's kind of like universal librarian, updater, all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of nice. You can actually go in and you can change your categories and then go back up and pull up the patches. So this gives me, I just switched to pad. Yeah. I gotta crank up that reverb time some more. Because who doesn't want more reverb? Sorry. Also, just like the Hydra, this does have polyphonic aftertouch in it as well. The circuit does not have polyphonic aftertouch, so you're not going to hear it on there. But if I was using any of like the polyphonic aftertouch based keyboards, any of them that I have laying around, which is like none. But I can, you can obviously play with aftertouch on anything, and it will do it polyphonically on here. It sounds really, really nice as well. That works out really, especially with your using the Hydra synth, which is also a polyphonic aftertouch based synth. So you can do some really cool, neat sounding things with the modulations, with aftertouch and everything like that. It does not have MPE support like the Hydra synth does, and I don't think they have any plans of giving it MPE, as far as I know. Which is kind of, take what you will about MPE. Is it something that everyone is going to use? No, probably not. I don't see why. This is the kind of synth that would lend itself well to MPE. If you are an MPE person, I think it would. I've been really enjoying the MPE support in the Hydra synth with the Linstrument. It's been kind of like a thing. Like I'll plug them in and hang out and play for a long time and educate myself in that whole world. It's kind of cool. But yeah, I think that's, to me at least, I think that's kind of a thing that I wish it did have, but it's not a game stopper for me. I think it's still, obviously it's a fantastic synth, so much, obviously, that they're pretty committed to making sure that it's handy. Yeah, Justin, once you get that MPPE enabled MIDI penny whistle, is that multi-penny percentage emulation? I don't know. I can't remember what MPE stands for. Multi something. Whatever. Penny whistle. God, wait, hang on a second. Maybe you need an MPE mechanical keyboard instead. Let's see. What else do I wish the Peak would have? What modes can you dial with the filter? I'm so glad you asked. Let's jump back over to a nitpat. There we go. So we have 12 and 24 slope dB. It is a multi-filter, so you have low pass, band pass, and high pass. So we were playing with the low pass a lot. Here's the band pass. And the high pass. Those are all at the 24 dB. Here's the 12 dB. They sound pretty good. I mean, they're, I think, like, beefy-wise, they're probably not the beefiest of filters out there, but they're not bad. 24 dB out of high passes. You can definitely hurt some babies with that. Plus, you can overdrive the filter, too. I'm pretty sure that the low-pass filter is the exact same on the base station, too. I might be mistaken, but I think the filter bank might be the same period on the base station, too. Let me take a look, because I might be able to find out. Peak evolved from an initial concept of a polyphonic version of the base station 2, according to the manual. Let's see. It doesn't say. Pisces, thanks for hanging out. Woot. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that the filter, at least on the low pass, it might be the same thing. I think that they're two different beasts altogether in Fautre. I think that the base station 2 is a fantastic sounding synth. I think that but it is a one-trick pony synth. And although, it's a nice mono synth, but I kind of like the idea of having multi-voices and stuff like that. And yeah, this base station 2 does have a nice 303 filter, but if you already have something that has a nice 303 filter, do you need it? Plus, if you get the circuit mono station, that's very similar to the base station 2 as far as their filters are concerned. Yeah, I was saying, Fautre, you have like a 303, so you're good. But I think, I don't know. To me, I kind of like the filters on this thing. It sounds nice. Like I said, they're not going to hurt you too bad. They're actually pretty gentle with the overdrive turned on. And then you self-resonate the filter. Okay, we can probably maybe deafen some dogs with that. Turn down. Yeah, self-oscillating that into the hypersonic frequencies. That's dirty, but it's not boom. That's a bit more boomy. And that's without any distortion. That's just the filter resonating on itself and self-oscillating. Jesus Christ, that actually sounds really insane. Oh, you know what? I was lying. That was actually running. I am sorry. I was gonna say, why is that? There. That's just the filter. It's pretty beefy. MIDI sync on the delay. I believe so. Yeah, there is MIDI sync on the delay. So if I go into my beep sync there and play a sequence. Change my tempo. Yep, sync right up. Yeah. No problem. Thanks for asking a question, so I'm not just sitting here going, now what do I show you guys? And if you guys have any questions, please tell me. Please, I'm asking nicely. But I don't know. If y'all don't have any other questions, I don't really, that's kind of, kind of how the thing all works. I think the only buttons I didn't talk about were initialize, which is handy as hell. So no matter where you are, you hit the initialize button and it just gives everything back to 0. So you don't have to scroll all the way up to an init pattern. So I can be like, wherever I can be on here. Hit the init button and there we are. Boom. You also have the audition button, which is nice if you're just programming stuff. Oh, distortion. I'm so glad you asked. So audition button. Cool. All right. So John, information tray asks a demo on the distortion. How hard does it go? Well, let's just use the basic what we got going on here. Make sure our VCA gain is turned up all the way. Then we can go into the. Do you want to hear it? Well, we'll step it out. So we'll start going forward here. So we have that, and then going over into the signal path going into the overdrive, and then going from there into the distortion. Without the overdrive. Whew. Could definitely hear it. Let's take a look and see if there's any other. I don't think there's any. No, there's not anything we can do as far as as far as our mod matrixing on the distortion or on any of the extra settings. So if we give it a, and that you can hear, because I mean I literally cranked up all of the distortion and everything in on that one patch, on the FU cohorn patch. Like that literally has everything cranked up on that whole thing. And then it's running through that really thick reverb. Without that reverb, it's has it. There we go. Hey, SenseNet, how are you tonight? Today, this afternoon. What time is it? 2:17. Yeah, that's without the verb. I just have the release on there kind of high. I'll turn that off. So then, like, adding the reverb on there. Like I was just waiting for you. Total space truck horn sound, but whatever, you know. I will give the space truck horn sound shit as much as I want to, because it ruined the second Blade Runner movie for me. But yeah, it's handy when you want to be angry, and I was angry when I came up with that patch. Yeah, second Blade Runner movie, such a down bad soundtrack. Fight me. I can go off on a diatribe on how, like, the Vangelis's soundtrack was a character in the movie, and I don't even remember who did the the German guy and his buddy did the second one, and it was just a travesty. But anyway, sorry, I can go off on that. How was your show last night, SenseNet? How did everything go? I unfortunately couldn't go on there. I was DJing a party on Zoom, and it was weird. It was like the Brady Bunch dancing. It's kind of bizarre. But I hope hope you guys' show last night was good. So this is how the distortion sounds on here. And like I said, having those multiple steps that you can engage the distortion in with is kind of handy. I kind of like the idea that there's kind of like a gain stage in a way. Oh no. Oh, SenseNet, I'm sorry to hear that. That stinks. Yeah, that might be doing it. Yeah, I find that I can only like run one USB. I can't run anything into a hub anymore, which is irritating as hell when your person uses Macs, because you can't get much outside of hubs, which is depressing. Yeah, dongle life. Yes and no. I mean, the computer I'm using right now for the stream has, I think, 4 USBs on the back of it, and then it has 6 Thunderbolts connectors on there. But fine, it's a Thunderbolt. It's a Mac Pro. It's the garbage can I got it for a steal, so I'm using that right now. Eventually, I'm going to move that over to my music production area and probably move my 2009 iMac over to the streaming station because it's fun being old like that. But I think when I do that move, there's going to be a whole lot of changes as far as the music production station is concerned, because there's some upgrades that I'd like to do on top of just moving the computer over there. But that's going to have to wait until I can afford it, which in this current economy ain't going to be happening anytime soon. So, but yeah, I'm glad that the show went okay, even though with the technical difficulties. Hopefully you can get that stuff straightened out. I should do this real quick. Oh my god, I need studio monitor so bad. Yeah, my studio monitors are these Event 2020 biamps from I think I got them in 2003, I want to say. Yeah. Nice. That's good. That's good. But yeah, I mean, mine are so like missing so many different places where it's just like I've been really struggling with doing mixing on them and stuff like that lately. And I'm just like, oh my God, I need to get something else. Those atoms look pretty sweet. Info tray. I still need to, I need to find a place where I can sit down and play with monitors and see which ones I like the best. They should be able to do this thing where wouldn't it be great if there's like the traveling monitors sales guy. And they can come in with all the different ones and you can just use them in your studio and see like which one sounds the best to me. That'd be lovely, but it's never going to happen. Maybe I should start a business. I could be a traveling studio monitor sales guy. Oh, that sounds like a horrible job. No, I don't want to do that. Unless I can use your bus for it, since. But yeah, no, it's not something that I would think I'd ever want to do. But it'd be nice if someone did do that. So yeah, we were just kind of talking about the Novation Peak, which is this guy right here. Just kind of did a deep dive into all the functionality of it, of which there is a lot of. Yeah, totally sense. I do too. I mean, I know you do because that's kind of your colors, blue, black, and white. Info tray. So what you're saying is that we had to do a day trip out to like Sweetwater. Yeah, info tray. The mono station is on sale right now. It's pretty inexpensive and it's a lot of fun. It keeps on going on sale, which is bizarre because I think that's actually cheaper than the circuit. Which, I mean, the circuit does, I don't want to say that either of them do more, they just do different. And I think it's weird that they call it the circuit mono station because it's really almost like a base station mini, for want of a better term. At least to me, a lot of it kind of feels like that, kind of like how the circuit is kind of like a micro mini Nova with a sequencer. But the mono station is a really decent sounding piece of gear. It's one of the things that I keep on thinking about getting. Justin, did you ever get a mono station? I can't remember. I know that Sam got one, but I'm not sure if you got one or not. I know we were talking about it a while ago. But yeah, who wants to go to Sweetwater? And we can go and try on studio monitors there. Maybe I don't know. I've not been there before, so I don't know if they have like a room where you can switch between them. Once everything gets back to normal, I can email my Sweetwater rep. It's been weird not getting emails from my Sweetwater rep every day, or junk emails from like anybody that's not a robot. Anyway, what else can I tell you about the Novation Peak? Other than, it's got wooden end cheeks, which is, there you go. That's handy. It's kind of funny. I have it set up right now at an angle, but it's an angle that's facing away from me, just so I can like point it in those directions. Just so you can get a better view of it. So it's kind of weird. Oh yeah. Sense, totally. And dude, what you need to do, sorry, dudette, Sense, whatever. I don't know. Go and take a tour as well, because it's a free tour and they do it. You just email them ahead of time and schedule it and then show up, and they take you on a tour of the Moog factory, which is kind of a cool thing. So you can do more than just pick up your Theremin, which of course you definitely want to pick up a Theremin. Their showroom has all kinds of fun synths that you can play with as well, not just Moog stuff. They have a number of like smaller companies gear there, so you can kind of give those a try out. They also have a little vinyl area to buy records and stuff. Yeah, Sense. I mean, a synth is a synth is a synth, right? And yeah, and all the knobs that you're using on your VSTs are very much the same as what's going on here. So if you understand how that works, then you pretty much understand any synthesizer in the end, I feel. Some of them have different bells and whistles and different ways of doing things, but in the end, an oscillator is an oscillator, and that's, science tells you that that's what it does, right? And, however, whatever little tricks and stuff like that, they really are kind of the same thing. And yeah, shame on you for not going to Moog. How long have you lived in that area and you've not been to Moog? Have you been to Make Noise? But yeah, anyway, sorry. 4 years, my goodness. Well, hopefully when the world gets back to normal, or some semblance thereof, you can make a visit actually, and check everything out and enjoy it. I mean, I'm a big fan of Asheville. It's such a fun town to me. I think it's because it's not the town where I live, and it's not a town I go to all the time. So it was, a new adventure. So if anyone gets a chance to get down to Asheville, North Carolina, do so. It's a fun city. There's actually a really healthy synthesizer scene out there, not just corporate wise. But I mean, it's the home of Moog and Make Noise. I think there's another company out there as well. That's a smaller one, another modular synth company. But there's a whole lot of crazy music and stuff like that. And yeah, the Bottle Shop, that place is fun. And it's tasty. InfoTrade, there is a rumor that they might be moving Moogfest back to Asheville. That's the rumor, at least. So, since they've been doing the Moogfests over in Durham, North Carolina, for the past 4 years. I went to all of them up in Durham, and it was a mess too. I'm glad that it's a long-standing tradition. The last one was especially a mess, and they canceled this one this year, and I don't know why. I've heard rumors as to why they canceled it. Yeah, political crap. They had a person that was running the whole thing that was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't think they really knew what they were doing, as mean as that sounds. But I think that the difficulty with Moogfest, and I'm kind of sorry if I'm going off on a tangent here, but I'm going to go off on a tangent. Yeah, which city? Are you talking about the Durham Moogfest, or are you talking about the Asheville Moogfest? Because they both kind of had a similar kind of thing going on. Okay, so yeah, the Durham Moogfest, it was kind of a similar kind of stuff. So they moved it over to Durham, and at first it was like, yeah, we're welcoming it with open arms. Like they had like all the venues, and like we're running Moogfest stuff. The downside to that was some of these venues were 4 or 5 miles from everything else, and so if you wanted to go see like we saw Gary Newman or Health or who else did we see? Mike Snow. You had to go across town to do that. And we like the first time we decided to walk, and that took for fucking ever. But we did. And then after that, we just like Ubered, but then like Uber was getting overwhelmed because Asheville is not a very large city. It's kind of like a small town kind of thing. So that got overwhelmed. So then the next year, they didn't do anything over, yeah, I mean, I think that multi-room events and stuff like that, I think that the difficulty even like in Cleveland, I've been to multi-room events, and some people just don't want to go upstairs or down the stairs or whatever, because they want to go to one place, and that can be a killer as far as that's concerned. I feel like I should switch the cameras because that way actually I look like I'm talking to people. Hi. But I think that multi-room events or those kinds of things, I think that Moogfest, the strength of it was they could have used, they kind of wanted the city to be part of the focus. And so for a while, they're really, really tightly integrated with Durham. So there was a lot of stuff to do and everything like that. And Durham had a kind of central downtown area, which was actually really nice and vibrant. A lot of good food, a lot of good places for drinks and stuff like that. And then they had the old Lucky Strikes factory is still there. They don't make Lucky Strikes there anymore. They don't make anything. I mean, it's literally called Tobacco Campus, and there's like a theater there, and like some like art school, and like some small like startup companies and stuff like that, and more restaurants and everything. It was a really pretty area. It was really neat. I really like how they did that whole thing, and that's where they put like the pop-up factory where they were building the new synths that they had premiered at Moogfest, and that's where they had the like the showroom for all the companies and stuff like that. But I think what happened was Moogfest is a lot of things, right? So on the one hand, you have, a vending kind of thing, and Guitar Center ran the vending to a better or worse degree. I don't have much of a good opinion on Guitar Center. The cool thing that was nice about going to Moogfest was that the third day, on that Sunday, they didn't want to bring anything back with them because they were literally using the Guitar Center in Asheville. Like all the employees of the Guitar Center in Asheville, and all the stock came from the Guitar Center in Asheville, not the one in Durham or Raleigh. And they drove it all there, and they didn't want to drive any of that shit back. So all of a sudden, everything went on sale on Sunday. And I remember that, like, when we realized that whole thing, I think it was actually at the last couple of Moogfest, and so we would wait until Sunday to buy stuff, and then we got it for a decent discount. Because I know I got like the squid was like $150 cheaper, and the model samples was like $100 cheaper than if you got it on day one. So that was kind of nice. But that was kind of a thing. And then so you had the vending area, you had the pop-up factory, you had classes, and you had concerts, and then you had like a general, free to the community event space. So you had all this stuff going on, and you had all this stuff going on in all these different venues. And who would you hire to run all of that? Because this is kind of my thought. This is kind of like, on the one side, you have basically a trade show. On the other side, you have basically a conference. And then on the other side of that other side, you have a music festival. There's no companies out there that run all three of those things. Event companies are either one of those three. Nothing runs all three of them. And so they actually had one company that they had started to run all this stuff, but I don't think they really knew what they were doing. They were kind of the master of none, which was, nice because it was diverse, but it was not so nice because it didn't make any fucking sense. So you'd go and you want to go to a class, and then like one year you had to like pre-reserve your class, and then half the time you couldn't get in. Last year they made the pre-reserve the class, but they gave VIPs access to it first. And then the engineers, because there's like an engineering track where you build a synthesizer, which from what I understand was a really cool, but it was also like, an extra $500 a person to do that kind of thing. So they gave everybody like that. And then like the regular schmoes, we got in, we didn't really get to many of the classes that we had reserved. Or actually, I don't think we got into any of them this last year. And even like my one friend who did get a VIP pass didn't get into any of the classes. He pre-reserved, he got confirmation, he went there, and they're like, nope, they're all full, sorry. So that was kind of weird. And so that part kind of sucked. And then it's still spread out throughout the downtown area. It wasn't as far out as it was before. But then you got this kind of sense that it was like spacing out the acts and stuff like that didn't really make sense. So you didn't really have any time to go from one place to another to catch the next act. that you wanted to see. So it's like you end up missing things, or you end up, you're either missing something, or you're getting there halfway through the other person's set or something like that. And then that was just kind of like, I don't know, that was just bizarre. So I think that those, yeah, SenseNet, yeah, I can definitely something like that. But I think that the difficulty is again, it's I think they're trying to do too many things, which I think is cool. I know it's neat, but I think it's just difficult to put those things together in a proper way. I think like KnobCon works out very well because it's a trade show. I mean, it's a trade show. They have bands that play, but they're not like booking bands. Like literally, it's just people who are going to go to KnobCon anyway because we're a bunch of dorks and we play for everybody and people dig it. No one gets paid to do it there. There are some classes at KnobCon, but they're not like, they're more like, MoogFest was doing things like the future of artificial intelligence, or, using, art as a political, political tool, or like these really like heavy, big, deep things where they were getting like, political scientists in, and like roboticists and physicists, and like they were trying to like, they wanted to bridge art, activism, music, and technology all together into this one thing. And I think that's kind of the thing is that it was a bit too broad, and because of that, they couldn't, what audience, is going to go for all that kind of stuff. I mean, you're going to kind of limit yourself. KnobCon is just like is synthesizers, right? So they have a class, where some guys are showing you how to solder together a synthesizer module. They have classes talking about things like, like the Peak, Enrique from Novation does these fantastic classes on like the Peak or the Summit, or how to do this or how to do that. You can have Mark Dowdy talk to you for 16 hours about why he thinks that, whatever, that paraphonic synthesis is bullshit, or any of those kinds of things. You have, John Sonnenberg talking about this new oscillator he built. So yeah, I hope that KnobCon happens this year, because that's like, there's two more things that are currently going on this year that involve me traveling that I haven't canceled, and KnobCon is one of them. And for God's sake, I really need to get the fuck out of town, and I really need to go and hang out with my friends and stuff like that. And like KnobCon is like the event that I met a lot of the shrimp people at. This is one of the few times a year that I get to go out to Chicago and hang out with X Studio Chicago, that kind of stuff. I get to go and see, since MoogFest isn't going on, I get to go and see like the reps and stuff like that for like Novation and Electron and all the gear that I really like. And the people that run those are really cool dudes. Those reps are really fun to hang out with and stuff like that. And, and talk to, like, I know that, Synth Drama is always there, so I get to talk to those guys. So it's just like, there's so much that goes on. Yeah, SenseNet, exactly. It's kind of like Burning Man, except it's less dusty, but probably just as unclean as far as like people showering. I'm kidding. I think Burning Man is just an overall far dirtier experience. Definitely not my style. My version of camping is in a cabin, preferably on a cruise ship. So I think I would wilt out there like lettuce. But it looks like an incredible experience. It's just not my taste at all. But yeah, so I think that I'm really hoping that KnobCon does still happen this year, because I would be incredibly sad. I've already had at least 2 trips get pulled because of C19, which I understand. But it's still, part of you is still kind of like, I feel like I'm allowed to be upset that my travel plans got fucked up. Because nature is a bitch. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, exactly. Like I had a gig in Chicago in May that for the Deluge, they were going, the Synths from Deluge, they were doing this whole festival thing that was like a touring festival, and they had like Deluge users coming to all the different things and playing little sets, and so I was going to go and do that, and that got canceled, unfortunately. And then I was going to play in Pittsburgh in June, and that got canceled. I still might be playing Pittsburgh in November, but I'm not sure yet if that's going to go on or not. And then, like I said, hopefully get out to NobCon in September, and then we're supposed to go on a cruise in December. So we'll see if that works out. And that's, one of these days I should totally organize a synthesizer cruise. I had to come up with a good name for it. I do run group cruises, or I help run group cruises. My wife actually runs group cruises. I help her out, so we can probably put something together. That would be stupid. So anyway, that's my rant. Yeah, since I understand. It's not for, it depends on what people are into and what people aren't. I like being on the water. I like being in the water. I like eating food and drinking and doing that on the water. And when we usually do our cruises, we do it in a group with people, and they're all a bunch of our friends. And so that makes it even more fun because it's basically going on vacation with your friends, without people. Yeah, that's the downside is that it's not like we're not going to get 3,000 synth nerds on a boat and fill it up. We'd probably get like a dozen. At the most. And we've done like, we used to run goth cruise back in the day. So that was even more fun because you get like 60 basically middle-aged IT workers trying to fit into their plastic pants again. And that was a blast. And we DJ and have like our own nights and stuff like that, and cocktail parties. And the captain looked at us like we were a bunch of weirdos, and he was probably correct. So we used to do that for a while, but then we kind of got busy with everything else in life that we do. So no more goth cruise, but I don't know. We'll see. That'd be kind of maybe a fun thing to do eventually. We like NobCon on the seas, but I'd have to call it something else, but I don't know what. That's the thing. What do you do? I could call it short circuit. No. Because that's what all your synths will do once they hit the water. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm pretty much done today as far as this is concerned, but I don't think anybody else has any questions on the peak. They just went off on a 20-minute long diatribe on everything else in the world. So next Saturday, I will be back on again, and I am going to be doing a kind of a tutorial, not like a deep dive tutorial, but just a general tutorial on how I jam on Electron gear. Which, I wish Justin X Studio Chicago was in town. Maybe we can put him into a bubble or something like that. And we'll just kind of like show the ways we've come up with ways to start from almost nothing and come up with like cohesive, songs and jams and stuff like that. And as well as like how we connect everything together and just kind of show off how all this stuff works. So I'll need to figure out a good wide angle for the table here, because it's probably gonna be full of Electron shit. And maybe even literally me plugging stuff in the entire time going, no, that's not a fuck. What am I? Wait, it's been so long. God, no, I probably won't. I'll just do that beforehand to kind of point out how it all connects and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to do that there, John. Like I said, it's unfortunate that Justin can't be here. That'll teach him to move. But even then, he wouldn't be here anyway because he'd be in social isolation, which isn't too different than what's going on normally. But yeah, thanks to you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Like I said, the deep dives are fun because I get to learn a whole lot about how things work. I like to show things off, the stuff that I like to use. This has nothing to do with any kind of, no one's telling me to do this stuff. I certainly don't get any help from anybody at Novation or Electron or anything, any of the companies that I do this stuff with. I just like get excited about the synths, and I want to share how cool they are with everybody else and how versatile synths in general are, and how electronic music is really a really fun and expressive way to make music. So anyway, let me see if there's any, the thing about doing afternoon shows is I try to find somebody to raid, and there ain't anybody on here to raid right now unless somebody knows anyone that I can randomly throw a raid at, because I got nothing. Miano was on. Really? I thought I was following me on you. That's weird. Huh. Well, all right. Then we will be bouncing over there. So thanks again, y'all, for watching. Really appreciate it. Take care, and we'll see you soon. As soon as I do this, and off we go.